Dober večer. Hvala Pritličju, da nas spet gosti. Danes se dobimo tukaj, povem lih v dveh besedah, zakaj se gre. Se gre o tem, da bo Andraž nam najprej povedal malo eno svojo izkušnjo, zdaj se je komaj vrnil z Berlina, in potem se bo povezal z Doris Ganam, ki je BDS Berlin, in Ramses Kilani, ki je en aktivist, ampak ne samo, ampak bo več povedal Andražu njemu, ki je precej zanimivo, ne? Ja. In nekako zdaj bo potekalo tako. Najprej bo Andraž povedal v slovenščini, malo kontekstualiziral recimo to izkušnjo, potem se bo pa direktno povezal z Ramsijem in z Doris in bodo poglobili ta problem represije nemške vlade, bi se rekla, ne samo policije in ne samo proti protestnikom, ampak na splošno kdorkoli pač deluje v solidarnosti s Palestino, ne. Okay, I just said a couple of words. I introduced you very quickly, and now I'll pass the floor to Andraž. See you later. Bye.
Okay. Torej najprej, da povem par besed, tukaj je rekla Nada, da kontekstualiziram. Jaz sem preživel kar nekaj časa, skoraj 2 meseca v Berlinu in sem večino časa skušal porabiti za to, da bi pač bil na protestih, bil spremljal, kaj se dogaja v propalestinskem gibanju, tako da nekako pač videl sem ogromen represije, ogromen policijskega nasilja, rasnega profiliranja, rasizma, ne vem, vsega tega, kar pač je tudi do Slovenije prišlo, ampak tako konkretno recimo, ne, ko greš na protest pač v Berlinu, pred vsakim protestom mora organizator prebrati, kaj se ne sme govoriti, oziroma pravila protesta. Nikoli se ne sme reči from the river to the sea, tako da danes sem tudi za naš oblekel to majico, kjer ne piše from the river to the sea, ampak piše from the Riza to the Sprejel. Riza je restauracija v Neuköllnu, kjer se zbirajo dostikrat podporniki Palestine, Sprejel je reka tam in ljudje so bili aretirani tudi za to majico, torej ne zdaj, torej samo na nekaj, kar spominja na zelo glasni slogan. Včasih tudi ljudje ne smejo uporabljati besede genocid, včasih, ne vem, intifada in take stvari, tako da to je bilo kar precej čudo, ne, mislim, nekako je meni to spominjalo na nek verbalni delikt, pa ljudi lovijo po mestu, ne, vse snemajo in pač če te ne ujamajo na protestu, te mogoče potem ujamajo na metroju, pač včasih ustavijo metro in ljudi vlečejo iz vlakov. To sem videl recimo. Potem, kaj sem še videl na tem protestu, ob obletnici smrti Rose Luxemburg, ki je vedno tak velik socialističen protest, vsako leto tako najmene 10,000 ljudi pride, sem videl, kako v bistvu deluje, kakšna je policijska taktika, ne, vedno je na isti način. Vedno je tako, da pač ljudje hodijo, se nekaj derajo in po neki točki imajo pač vsega dosti in začnejo se dreti tudi from the river to the sea in take slogane in pol vidiš, kako policaji začnejo tiste svoje čelade gor dajati in točno veš, da par minut bo še mir, pa se bo pa začel in potem res čez par minut oni grejo v ta nek blok, grejo pač v množico, kakšnega človeka aretirajo ali pa več njih in potem pride do neke situacije, ko na eni strani stojijo policaji, na drugi strani stojijo ljudje, ki demonstrirajo in potem recimo v tej situaciji, ki sem ji bil priča, sem videl, kako je v bistvu iz miru, pač ko so eni gledali druge in ni bilo neke tenzije več, kako so v bistvu policaji štartali na polno pač v ljudi in začeli tepsti in potem neko 13-14-letno punco na tleh s poškodovano glavo, pač z neko buško. Pač, ne. Tako da to je neka taka, dosti se mi zdi klasična situacija na teh protestih in zdi se mi, da tako skoraj noben protest ne gre do konca. Pač skoraj vsak protest prekinejo, ker prekinejo ga pa takrat, ko pač ljudje ne upoštevajo več teh navodil. Tako da pač rečejo, da protest razpuščamo, zato ker ste uporabljali te slogane ali karkoli in potem grejo ljudje domov. In nova nevarnost je, ko greš v skupinah domov in se mogoče še dereš kaj, ne pa, ne vem, kakšne slogane, ki mogoče niso prepovedani, ampak kljub temu te policija spremlja in te dostikrat obkroži. In potem se večkrat zgodi, da ljudi zadržujejo tudi po več ur, če se jim tako zazdi, pač včasih kakšna kazen dobijo različne, so potem te sankcije, ne. Mogoče to, vedno rečemo aretacija, ampak imaš nekako, bi rekel, tri različne stvari policijskega ukrepanja. Eno je, da te pač samo pač zadržijo začasno in potem te spustijo, ne. Drugo je, da te pač na policijsko postajo odpeljejo in te potem spustijo. Tretja je pa pač, da tudi mogoče dlje časa tam ostaneš, vedno je pa pač odvisen, kaj ti očitajo. Dostikrat očitajo napad na policijo ali pa neupoštevanje navodil policije za zelo neke, ne vem, če dvigneš roko, je to lahko že napad na policijo, no, tako da tako nekako, to je nekako ta vtis, ki sem ga jaz dobil na protestih. Lahko bi povedal še kaj, ampak mogoče bi bilo bolj pametno, da čas porabimo za to, da vprašam, kaj naša dva gosta, sploh zaradi tega, ker Ramsis bo potem mogel iti, pa mogoče se lahko na koncu še s kakšnim svojim vtisom. Tako da, sekundo. So, Ramsis and Doris, now we will start with you. I just explained about my feelings and what I've seen in the protests. I try to do that very fast because I think it's more important that we speak with you. So let's speak about the event that happened just recently. I think also people from Slovenia, they know what happened yesterday, I think, in Berlin with Francesca Albanese. So let's start with that, because I think it shows a lot about the repression there. So I'm asking one of you, I don't know who would like to take the word, to explain, what happened at this event. They were trying to prevent the event, and what happened there. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, Ramses, I think you were very involved in that, right?
Well, Doris was even more involved, I can imagine. At least I spoke there, but Doris was there longer than I was. But maybe I can say a little bit on the pretext as well, because it didn't start in Berlin. Francesca Albanese was also not allowed to speak in Munich before, and at different universities, also at the Freie Universität, free university in Berlin, where you can question the free and how free it is when it comes to Palestine. And I mean, we are talking here about a United Nations official, and the question of the United Nations and international law actually was ingrained in German politics as something that had to be established after the Second World War, after the Nazi Germany atrocities, the Holocaust, and so on and so forth. And it's totally ignoring it by now, and even the German state is trying to prevent UN officials from speaking, like Francesca Albanese. And the same happened in Berlin. Then they didn't want to let her speak in different locations, and pressured the former location, Kühlhaus, it was called, so much that they had to step back, and they have huge police intimidation ways. And then in the end, it was held in a way smaller room by Junge Welt, a leftist newspaper in Germany. And Doris can tell you more about. But even then, the police surrounded the building, came in, and so on, controlled and checked every word that was being said, and so on, and was intimidating the people taking part.
Well, what I can say is that it started in the early morning when those who were, Ramzi and I, we are in Gaza committee, who was one of the organizers of the event with Francesca, and in our group we had a preparation group to get to the room early, to make it ready for people to come. The room was made first it was for 1,000 people, I think, in Kühlhaus, and we arrived there, saw the smearing at the building. As I told before, UNRWA supports terrorists. Francesca is an anti-Semite, and then we went upstairs, and there were those who run the venue, and I was afraid they would get they were under shock because they didn't know. I think they really didn't know what pressure this country is able to put on people when you do not work as they want. They didn't want, and this was something that scared me a little bit, or even more than a little bit. They said, we cannot tell, it was not the police who took us under pressure, and it was not even the mayor, who is a right-wing Christian Democrat, but we cannot say you there, we cannot tell you who are those who pressured us most, because they were warned that they can lose the possibility to keep this to keep this venue, to continue to keep this venue. And later somebody said that they were put under pressure by those who were investors to this building, and they said they would divest. And then this building then the whole thing is over. So that was the moment when they told us, no, we cannot, it's not possible that you can have Francesca here. And but we already had a smaller place. We knew that we can go to Junge Welt, which is Junge Welt, the publishing house. 8th of May is a left-wing place, and the newspaper they publish is a German daily, and they have a very small place where we could meet. Instead of 1,000, it was now 200, very crowded. And because the police said in advance, wherever we go, they will accompany us. And they insisted on being in the room in a very nice manner, looking very friendly, not as terrible as in Berlin, as at the conference last year, but anyway, to see her in a very crowded room, to see the police standing in the only place where you can escape from, where you can leave the house, the place. This is very scaring. And okay, they did not intervene. We could start, and in the end we could finish. But after Francesca said several times, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And Eyal Weizmann also, from, I want to explain, and they did it very poetically even, or ironically even. And then at the end it came out that the police said, it's enough now. And then we were ready to go. And when we went out of the building, we saw, we were 200 people, and there were police cars. It was, but anyway, don't talk about the repression. We made it. She was there. She could say what they wanted, but we have to realize she's the official person, as Ramzi said. And when she says that she can't wait to leave Germany, this is something. No, I cannot ask this government to start thinking, because no, I'm even as an optimist like me, it's over. But it was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. But anyway, on the other hand, as I said before, there were 5,000 people and more in the live streams. And what I said is, we don't need to do advertisement. We have our politicians. They do it for us. And the more they pressure us, the more people come. So, yeah, good to know.
Yes, I think this is pretty typical. We will later also speak about the Palestinian conference that happened last year. But now let's go to Ramzi. Ramzi, you.
Yeah.
Yes, Ramzi, you are very active in the Palestinian movement in Berlin. You still are, I think, a member of Die Linke. But later we will explain that maybe you will not be anymore in the future, but we'll see about that. But for start, I would like to ask you, could you tell a little bit more about that? What's your solidarity work? And also maybe you could also explain a little bit of your personal story, because I know your personal story and it's pretty sad as well. So I would like, if you would like to tell us, about that as well, maybe for the beginning. Yeah.
Yes, I can. So I have been politically active for more than a decade now, for more than 10 years. And me becoming active, I was political before, and I did a couple of stuff, but because of the horrible repression and propaganda in Germany regarding Palestine. I wasn't really active in Palestine solidarity before 2014. And 2014 was also a very sad year for us as a family that activated me politically, because the Gaza war in 2014 back then was like the worst bloodshed. It's nothing comparable even to the genocide we witnessed these last couple of months, but back then more than 2,000 killed, and among them also my father and my half siblings from the age of 4 to 12. My father went back to Gaza when my parents got divorced in Germany, and he wanted to build a new life there, and we were in contact via phone and digitally via back then Skype and so on. And that was a very shocking and devastating event that changed for me like my future development for sure, because I knew now I had to act and I had to change things, and the things going on in Gaza would affect more than just our family, and it was to be expected that it would continue this way, because Gaza was still an open-air prison, is still one, and the siege was going on, and people were being basically killed by the siege and starved, and 2 to 4 hours of electricity each day. We witnessed it firsthand by not being able to reach our families most of the day. More than 97% of the drinking water being unfit for human consumption, more than 50% of the population unemployed in times, the fishing zones being limited, and so on and so forth. The situation in Gaza was always horrible, way long before 7th of October, of course. And this politicized me a lot, and I had to become part of this movement. And Doris and I also met very early, I think in 2014 somewhere, in the context of BDS. And since then I have been active in multiple different groups and campaigns and so on. And I moved to Berlin 3 years ago and stumbled into the horrible police repression back then. The first demonstration I was involved in, there was propaganda against it for being anti-Semitic and so on. And then the police started banning demonstrations. This was 2022, and it was the Nakba Day they wanted to forbid, so the day of the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, 15th of May. And we still managed to go to the streets, but the police surrounded us, encircled us for 2 hours, and then so I witnessed the police brutality from day one already, like almost 3 years ago. And for me, it was very important to build up pressure so we could take back our fundamental democratic rights of the right to assembly and the freedom of speech again. And so we started the Nakba 75 campaign for the next Nakba Day that wanted to achieve this, and that we have the right to demonstrate. So this was back then the first demo ban, but on 7th of October and the days afterwards, they almost built a semi-occupation-like zone in the Sonnenallee, where many Palestinians live, with riot cops every few meters, regular racial profiling, where people were taken by police and so on. It was really a scary time, with Palestine flags being taken from trees and so on by police, being painted over in the streets. They wanted to erase everything that looked Palestinian. and and demos weren't allowed. But the pressure by many people still shouting "Free Palestine," still going to the streets, still registering demos every day. At a certain point, they openly proclaimed, "We cannot take the pressure anymore. We are at our limit." The police, and they couldn't manage to hold it back anymore. And then, in the midst of October, we managed to organize the first mass protests. And despite all the repression and pressure, and many have been taken into custody or prison even by now, and people still stood active. And this is a very severe situation here, of course. And I've been involved in the counteraction and resistance and resilience against this, just as many others as well.
Okay, so you're already active there, as we can hear, but probably many people doesn't like that you are so active, and something terrible happened to you in the political party that you are part of. You are part of Die Linke, and they actually expelled you, but the procedure is going on at the moment, if I'm correct. So maybe you could also explain us, why they expelled you from Die Linke, and also in which level the procedure is now.
Yeah, exactly. So the pressure mounted by different Zionist lobby groups and also different politicians from the right wing, and media smear campaigns against me as the leading figure of the Palestine movement in Berlin, and they were smearing me, of course, with being, I think they never even called me anti-Semite. They didn't dare, because in my case, I always also worked closely with Jewish comrades, anti-Zionists and so on, but even they do it with some Jews here in Germany, so you can never rely on it. But they said, I would relativize terror and so on, and using sometimes even faked quotes by me, in order to stress that, or taken out of context, and so how they work, typical media smear campaign. And then they jumped on it, and some of the more right wing within Die Linke, within the left, were trying to push it forward and to act against me, in order to become more favorable from the more right-wing parties like the SPD and the Green Party and so on, Social Democrats and the Greens, that they want to have a government coalition. So they so to say sacrificed me in order to capitulate to the Staatsräson, which is the state ideology of Germany, to support the state of Israel. And that's how they worked. So they started an expulsion motion against me in Berlin. And in Berlin, the leadership and bureaucratic structures are full of people who are very pro-Zionist. Even parts of the left in Germany are very pro-Zionist. And they were the ones then judging me. So it was not a neutral process or court or anything. It was not a real court anyways, but a party procedure. It was politically motivated, of course. And they then on the Berlin level expelled me. But in order to not set an example for other Palestine solidarity activists within and out of Die Linke, I also objected to that decision and went to the nationwide level in order to have another procedure. And this is still ongoing, so I haven't had my hearing in this case, but many also in the party showed solidarity outside of the party anyways, of course, and in the movement there was a lot of solidarity. And I think it was an important fight to have, to make sure that our positions are legitimate, and that I can say that the Palestinians have a right to defend themselves, and that I can say that Israel is an apartheid state, and that an apartheid system has to be abolished, and that humans have a right to exist, and that humans should be able to live next to each other with the same democratic rights, whether they are Jewish or Arab or whatever they are. They have to have the same rights. And this was my position, and I didn't change my position. I didn't apologize. I didn't do anything, and I won't do it, no matter what the party does, because so for me, I don't have any illusions in the party Die Linke and how it changes society. It is important that it stands against mass deportations and so on in Germany right now, because there's a huge backlash going on from the right wing right now. And in these cases, I stand on the same side as them, and I will also work with them and so on politically. But the aim also by the media and by the state of pushing this division was bigger than my individual person. It was about cutting the ties between a big party in parliament and the Palestine movement on the streets. I think this was very important to them, why they acted like this. In between all the social cuts they are doing, militarization that Germany is driving forward. So this was the image of, and the complex situation I was in. But still, still a political activist, not capitulating to the pressure, for sure.
It's, I would say, a bit strange, that left party as Die Linke is, has so many people who are pro-Zionist, and who are like problematizing you, who is doing a lot of work in the Palestinian solidarity. So I would like to ask you about the reasons for that, and you can probably connect this with the Staatsräson, or the reason of the state in English that you already mentioned. So I think with this expression, we can explain a lot why the political situation, considering Palestine, is such as it is at the moment in Germany.
Absolutely. I mean, even within the left, you have these so-called tendencies called anti-Deutsch, which means anti-German, which is kind of strange, because they are not really anti-German state and anti-German government, but very pro-German state and pro-German government. But what it means, anti-German, means like anti-German kind of history and what they interpret in it. So they say Nazi Germany was very evil, and they killed the Jews. The Jews today for them are the state of Israel. So the Jews are very good. The US supports the Jews, so the state of Israel. And so the US is very good. And that's a very like simplistic worldview most of them have. And this comes also from the propaganda that we have in Germany, that the state of Israel is the same as all Jews worldwide, and that Zionism is the same as Jews worldwide. So this is a very important ideology here, because Germany wants to make a clear cut between the history of Nazi Germany and the Third Reich and the new German ambitions. And these are clear world ambitions also. Germany also wants to step up now its game, especially with Trump. You can clearly see that they want a more independent role also as leader of Europe and so on. And they want to show with that cut, by now we are reliable again as Germany. We support the state of Israel, so you can trust us again. in all of the world, and we can police now in the world, and we can be an empire again. Actually, that's what it's about to the outside world, and it's about clear, coldly calculated geopolitical and economic interests for the German ruling class. So that's what it's actually about. And there has also never been a real denazification in Germany. That's also important to know. So the Nazis are still in, and the next generation, because they are also not elected, are still in the state bureaucracy and so on. And also in many parties back then, many Nazis went from the NSDAP, so Hitler's party, to the CDU after 1945, or to the SPD even. And this was never really stopped or abolished in any way. So this is the mentality. Konrad Adenauer, so the first chancellor of West Germany back then, said that Germany has to have good relations with Israel, because the Jews still hold a lot of power in the world, especially in the US. So he used anti-Semitic conspiracy theories for his support of the state of Israel, and why Germany should have close ties. So you can still see where this era comes from. It's actually a right-wing ideology, and until this day, they still try to legitimize anything, like any state repression we are seeing by this ideology of the state, by this Staatsräson, and they act like it's a moral thing or a moral question, but equating the state of Israel and Jews is anti-Semitic. Also in this case, we have to be very clear about it. And it's also aimed against anti-Zionist Jews who don't fit the narrative. And of course, it's very much directed at us Palestinians here in Germany, as Muslims, as Arabs who don't share this propagandistic view of what is going on. So even within Germany, it's used for nationalistic, we can be someone again as Germans, and who belongs to it and who doesn't belong to it. That's very much what it's behind. And parts of the left fall for this nationalist view, because it's a very strange kind of nationalism also. If compared to others, you will not find these people walking around with German flags and so on and saying, yeah, Germany is the best country and so on. But it's more like supposedly self-reflective. Also in the outside world, I think many thought that the Germans have really learned from history, and because they are saying, yeah, because we have been so bad historically, we know what anti-Semitism is now, and we can teach all the world, and we are so much better now, and we have learned so much, and this is we are someone. This is how the nationalism in Germany works. So it works a little bit different than in other countries. They admit that before they were bad, but now they are so good. And this is what makes it a little bit difficult. And then, of course, you have the fascists growing also from the repression we are facing, from the racism, with the AfD being really extremely high in the polls by now, and extremely dangerous.
Yeah, so the German nationalism is so moral, so much more moral than others, so that they can
Yes.
be. Yeah. What about the feeling guilty? Because we hear a lot here, that Germans, they feel guilty because of that, they support Israel, etc. What do you think about that, and how it affects to the citizens?
Yeah, we hear that here a lot as well, but it's not about German guilt. It's about German nationalism. It's about German racism. It's about German imperialism, I would say. There might be some in the public that out of guilt or out of shame, but more and mostly out of fear of repression, losing their jobs and so on, stay quiet on the issue. But guilt cannot really explain how some people would shout down and crack down on Jewish Holocaust survivors who speak out for Palestine. You cannot explain that by German guilds, really. And I think the ones in charge, like the ruling class in Germany and the government, they don't feel a tiny bit of guilt. It's for them very coldly calculated geopolitical and economic interests, what they are dealing with. So I really wouldn't use that term of German guilt so much. It's really not about guilt when it comes down to it. They act like it is, but for them it's just an like ideological legitimization for absolutely shameless international behavior.
Well, what about people who maybe don't support that German state is selling arms to Israel? You know, I think the majority of German people, they don't support that, but they still don't go to the protests. They are not active in political life. You know, what do they feel? Do they feel guilt? Do they feel fear? Is maybe the repression that we can see on the streets of Berlin connected to that because they don't want that more people would join the struggle? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so one of the more recent polls said that 79% of Germans oppose military support and supplies for Israel by Germany. 79%, so that's a very clear majority. And Germany sends most of the weapons behind the United States of America to Israel of the entire world. So this is a very clear contradiction in Germany that most don't want that. But I wouldn't say they are convinced that this is right, according to these polls. But I think the fear is real, and the fear from all you are seeing also internationally also has some reasons, some cause, because people are losing their job. I got expelled from a party for and there are many examples of journalists getting kicked out of media outlets and so on for doing minor things, or even going to a demonstration, like taking their democratic rights in a supposedly liberal democracy. So that's what we are facing and talking about. So I think most people are afraid. And if you see the media propaganda in Germany, you would think that you are alone with your opinion. But if you are on the streets and talking to people, we had some petition against a weapon sale. It's really surprising, that most people share the views actually, and then they understand I'm not alone in this. It's not just my individual crazy idea that we shouldn't support a genocide with weapons, and that this is a genocide going on there. But many others say the same, and they are brave enough to do something. And if people organize, get active together, and network, we can be stronger together. And I think this is like the courage that they need, and the strength and the power to be able to change things and to get into activity.
Okay, thank you a lot, Ramses, for all this. We will let you go because you have to go. Maybe if you would like to say something more, something that I didn't ask, and something that you think that maybe is important to expose now, or you would just like to go.
Maybe I just want to say that there may be some times in your country as well as in ours where the movement goes down, where we don't attract a lot of people, but the everyday bread and butter work and the grassroots activism still counts a lot, and what you are doing is still very, very, very worth it. And we felt that what we did under the surface before 7th of October really has fruits now. That when the explosion was and the people were coming, we had structures already they could act to, and people could get involved. We had a lot of experience and so on, and get people connected, and this all played a lot of role. And the progress we are seeing worldwide is always done by the people from below, by you activists that are doing the work day by day. And so don't lose hope, no matter after the ceasefire now, or whatever we are expecting when the topic isn't that present anymore. This is the time where we can decide whether we win over more activists, and our aim is to win over more activists. The main task of an activist is to create more activists. I said that yesterday and I repeat it today because I think that's very important to keep that in mind. Thank you for having me, and I wish you the best time with Doris, who is also a great comrade of mine, and we worked a lot together.
Thank you so much, Ramses. Thank you for this
All the
conversation.
best. Thank you, Ramsey. It was
All the
great.
best. Bye-bye.
Yes, also thank you for our talk in Berlin. I wish you, I think also in the name of the people in the room. The room is full now, you know, here, that we all wish you good luck with the struggle there, and we will also try to do something here. So I think we have to connect. And
Yeah,
we have
thank
to
you
fight
so much. We will need it.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Okay, Doris, now we speak with you. As Nada told us, you are from the BDS from Berlin, and let's talk let's talk about the conference, about the Palestinian conference from last year, because it's a similar event that happened with Francesca Albanese, but beforehand you told me that it was even worse. So maybe this was that conference where Yanis Varoufakis should speak, right? And also some other people who the audience know them. So maybe you can just explain us what happened, you know.
Well, it was stronger. I mean, it was the same situation as I told from before, from the event yesterday, but it was much larger, I thought. And yes, Yanis Varoufakis, Razan Apusipte, and also others were invited. And it started also in the morning that we came to the venue. And what we saw first was I don't know how many police people then we read in the newspaper before, but we couldn't believe that they have that there will be 2,000 police officers to protect us and protect the rest of the world. And they were coming from all over Germany because Berlin didn't have enough people to protect us, police people to protect us. And the horrible thing was that, and it was a little bit the same like yesterday, they put pressure on those who run the venues. And in this case, this person really had to be brought to the hospital a day before already, but he was then there when we started newly. In the end, it was the same. The room was there would have been space for 500 people, 500 to 600 people. The police decided after finding this and that and that and this, so we started 3 hours later, and they said, well, it's only space for 250 people. And it's clear that there have to be police present. And it was the same situation as yesterday, only much more police officers. There were 2 entrance doors, and at each doors there were about 25 to 30 police officers, and in their full with helmets and all this stuff. I mean, as if they would start to storm the whole venue. Okay, we tried to stay calm and we tried to not say anything, but we saw, of course, that outside of the venue, hundreds of people tried to get in, which was not possible because 250 instead of 500 or 600 is quite a difference. And then we started with the venue, and then first was Heb Jamal. She was there yesterday as well. And then was it was Salman Apusite, the one who is an expert of refugee rights and how many Palestinian refugees we have, and so on and so forth. And I think he talked about 5 minutes or so, and he was not in the room. He was on Zoom, and because we started later, it was replayed. I mean, he was not in person at Zoom, but and then. You know, then they remembered, or I don't know how they come to that. Abu Sita had said when he about the 7th of October, when I would be one of these youngsters who started with 7th of October, I'm sure I would have been amongst them. So that, I mean, that was something he said, and what everybody can imagine, that he thought I hope I would have been among the protesters. And then they immediately the police came close to everybody, especially to those who recorded the whole thing, like persons like me, and they said, stop, Abu Sita, it's over. And because it didn't go fast enough, they cut the electricity. They cut. They thought they can cut internet, everything. I think they didn't know that every person with a smartphone has its own possibility to do a hotspot or something like that. And they were crowded in the room. We couldn't move. We couldn't go to this side. We couldn't go to that side. But it was clear after some those who represented the conference tried to talk to them, everything like that, but it was over. They said no. After about 30 minutes or so, they said no, the conference is over. There is nothing, you cannot continue, not with anybody else. And the next one would have been Yanis Varoufakis. He was also not allowed to speak. He was also somebody who would have been there via Zoom. And I mean, Yanis Varoufakis is, in the contrary to Abu Sita, he is a EU citizen. And no, he was not allowed to talk. And Razan Abu Sita, who was also invited in person, he was held in Berlin airport and was denied entry to the country. And yeah, it took about 45 minutes, and the Congress that should have been lasted 2 days and a half was over. And the thing with Razan Abu Sita, that was, he went to court with one of the lawyers we know, and in the end he won his court case, but 4 weeks later, that he could have entered Germany, and he could have entered, because Germany not only posed on him a deny to enter Germany, but he posed on him a deny to enter, I don't know how he can do that, but he did, and everybody followed. He was not he was denied to enter any country in the Schengen area. So his next events, he was supposed to speak in France. He couldn't do that because of that, how that started in Germany, and he was supposed to speak in the Netherlands, and he couldn't do that. And then 4 weeks later, he won the court case. But anyway, it was, I mean, the damage was already there, to say it this way. And we are still in we filed a court case, but you know, that will do, and that will, I mean, this will not be over. It takes some time, and okay, we couldn't do the conference. That was and for somebody like me, I'm a little bit older. I have some experience with police violence, and I remember harder times in Germany, like when we had the Red Army fraction active and these things. But what happened in the conference last year, that was beyond anything that I could have imagined would happen in Germany. And I remember that people called me later, and they didn't believe when they saw the pictures that they could see all over the world, because because everybody has a smartphone, and they forgot I think they cannot cut smartphones, so everything went around the world. And it was horrific the way the police was tried then to intimidate us, and it was horrific. It was like an army taking over a place. Yeah. I cannot hear you.
Yeah, the BDS movement in Germany has a long history of oppression, right? So this is not the only thing that happened. We
No.
hear,
No.
we hear sometimes some rumors
That's
come.
where we get so strong.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes some rumors come to Slovenia, this and this happened, and sometimes some people say, oh, BDS is not allowed in Germany. This is not true. BDS at the moment is allowed in Germany. We don't know what will happen in the future, but I would like to ask you, what is actually the position of BDS? You know, how is the, which perspective do you see in the future? Maybe also in connection to this resolution, against anti-Semitism. So maybe here are two questions in this question. So maybe you can start with. Yeah.
The thing is that, BDS was difficult in Germany from the very beginning, and that's what we knew all the time. I mean, B stands for boycott, and boycott against Israel means don't buy with the Jews, something that is from German fascism. People didn't see the difference or didn't want to see the difference, and especially our political so-called leaders. But what happened after October 7th, and with this strong, this pressure that was put, especially upon our Palestinian siblings, or those who were read as Palestinians or Arabs or Muslims, there was never so much will to do BDS in Germany as before. So BDS is growing at the moment. That is what we have to say. That at the universities, they launched a petition today that a free university, the one who invited Francesca Albanese, they started the day today with a petition that they sent around the globe to academics all over, and they published a booklet that German university should support the Palestinian call for academic boycott. And they have some examples, and they found out that our universities, all of them, there's no exception, at least none that was evident, are complicit in the genocide through connections to Israeli universities. And some of them, and if not the majority, are connected via arms things. For example, the connection to Technion, the university, which is a technical university in Israel, which is very close to arms industry and all development in arms industry, you know, all these things. And I mean, German universities are connected to Israeli universities, and their fields are quite often arms industry. So there's a call that German universities should stop their universities to be complicit in genocide, and this means to end these relationships. It will take some time, that's what we know already. And the other thing is that, yes, BDS in the so-called anti-Semitism resolution that was adopted last November, they are thinking about how they can ban BDS, and this is interesting that they say this, because we had the anti-BDS resolution in 2019, which some of you might know. They did not talk about banning BDS, but they considered us they considered us and the whole movement and all who are on BDS as anti-Semitic. So this was a new quality that they think they should ban us, and they are, okay, that didn't work. But to say that they will reaffirm everything they said 4 years before against BDS, this is in a way interesting, because we had several court cases that we won. We had several court cases on the BDS issue, and most of them we really won, and we won one on the highest federal administrative court that we have. That it's not possible. I will read it. Yeah, let me read it. The resolution reaffirms the anti-Semitism revolution reaffirms the anti-BDS resolution 4 years ago, but this is not allowed because the measures they tried to implement on us, this is set by the highest federal administrative court is not is unconstitutional, and they don't dare what does constitution means? No, because of this state of reason. This is something like another constitution we have. Our basic rights are finished with when it comes to BDS, and the introduction of something like state of reason means that there is articulates that legal procedures can be suspended when higher goals are at stake. At the moment higher goals are at stake, Israel is defending himself. It has to do everything to have its security. And Germany said a couple of years ago by Angela Merkel that Israel's security is Staatsräson. And she said it. I just for today, I read her speech again, and she said that all chancellors, she's on the same level with all chancellors before. The security of Israel is due to German fascism and to that what German our ancestors the crimes our ancestors committed there. Israel's security, because Israel is, as Ramsey said before, is conflated with Judaism, is Jewish people around the globe. So we have to strengthen Israel's security. We have to do everything to do that, and that's why we need the state of reason. And the state of reason is another thing to. It's kind of shadow constitution. When it comes to Israel, we don't have this in other cases, but when it comes to Israel, the state reason is a shadow constitution, which makes possible that when it comes to us, they try it all the time. We are prohibited in our rights of assembly. We are prohibited in our right to speak. We are prohibited in many, many other ways. But of course, because we are anti-Semites, and of course, state security is so important for Israel, and that we protect it, this doesn't count anything. We won every court case so far. But anyway, it's a difference whether you get it immediately or whether you have to go through courts to get it back.
So this resolution, it's non-binding, right?
No resolution is binding.
Yes,
this is the point.
Yeah.
The resolution is something we even don't need. Resolutions are. It's nice that the resolution is not more than that. Our members of parliament, of course, they can have also their minds. But it's not a binding thing. It doesn't have any character of a legislative act. No, nothing is on that.
And how it functions, then how it works, how it affects, I don't know, people who work in some offices who are deciding about the future of the people, in the bureaucracy, how it affects to the bureaucracy, or maybe, I don't know, to the police officers.
It's a bureaucratic act.
Yeah.
You're right. These resolutions we are talking about now was the first one of 2019. It was an infractional resolution, and it works like this. Members of parliament, and usually fractions, do a motion to the German government, and they do it in the parliament and ask the German government to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the case of this, in the case of that. And also we have motions that one fraction asks, for example, the Left Party asked last year, can you say something about the arms supply to Israel? Then the government has to answer at a certain moment. They cannot wait too long. It's all bound. It says after 4 weeks or something like that, you have to answer. And then when, for example, when fractions ask, well, how is it with the arms exchange to Israel? There are many secret things which they cannot say, so you get a little bit to know, but that's it. I think it's a game. It's maybe they don't have to do enough in German parliaments. That's why they post motions all the times. yeah, okay, let's do that. But they do not have to mix it with our law. It doesn't have anything to do with law.
Yes, and as you told me, and some other people told me, it's a resolution. And could you tell us, or do you know how it is, how it will affect to the Palestinians or other people from the Middle East? Because we are also speaking about possibility of deportations, possibility of not giving to the people the residency or the citizenship. I know one story, from one activist who's Palestinian, who is in the procedure because of his activities on the protests, and they frozen his procedure for the citizenship, So, that activist also was in Ljubljana some years ago.
There is really danger.
Yeah.
They are
please,
running right now. I say they are running right now after we have Palestinian refugees who came from Gaza. And the thing is, they are running after them because when they are longer here in Germany, and as you can imagine, they do not take a ticket from Cairo to Berlin or something like that. They enter Europe mostly via Greece. And then they try to come some in how, I don't know how they come, but they arrive someday in Germany. And then they do not do anything they do not go to a public, they go to demonstrations, but they do not ask for anything. And when they are in Germany for 6 months, and then they can then they can ask for asylum, even though they entered Europe first in Greece, in a secure country where they could have asked for asylum and they would have stayed there. Now they try to get every reason person who is here to catch him. I say to catch him before he was in Germany for 6 months, and they really deport them. One is already deported to Greece, where he came first to Europe or any other secure country in Europe or everywhere. And the question is whether it's a secure country, what Germany considers to be a secure country, not what you or I would think would be a secure country. And at the moment, they have 2 or 3 Razans in custody, fighting still with the lawyers whether they can be deported, because they always also entered Europe via Greece, and hope they will win. If not, they will be deported to Greece. And the problem is that most of these young people, of course, they have relatives in I mean, it's idiotic to put them back to Greece. I mean, they will come back anyway, but okay. And the thing is, we will get a new government next week for sure, and they have other ideas. They are very keen they say every person who asks for asylum, if he does one mistake, if he does a wrong post on Facebook or Twitter or everywhere, something that is considered to be anti-Semitic, he can really run into problems, and he can run into problems that far that he will not get any possibility, any permission to stay, because he is whatsoever. And first of all, he cannot get a permission to get German citizenship. And what they want to change in getting German citizenship this is something really, it's horrible. That's what they try. That's what they said they will try, and they will put it into a law that once you get German citizens, if you are not a German by birth, and it takes 10 years. And before you get it really permanently, you have to be 10 years without anything wrong. You do maybe not right, an accident in the street, or you said something, you did something wrong, or you know how easily it can happen that you have a criminal thing, and then you can lose the German citizenship again. This is new. In our law, it was that you get German citizenship. Once you get it, and you keep it for the rest of your life.
Okay, I think we're coming to the end of this conversation. We will just give the word also to the audience. Maybe just the last short question. I've heard the information that after the 7th of October, there were more than 4,000 arrests on the protests in in Berlin, just short question, have you been arrested as well or not?
Not in this case.
Okay.
I did that before, but I was not arrested from 7 October to now.
Okay, but the main information is that there are many arrests, more than 4,000.
Many,
It's a
there's
lot. So in all the
thousands.
protests, yeah.
It's many. I mean, it's more than 4,000 now.
Yeah.
It's all pending, you know. It's all pending. I mean, they are not in custody. I mean, they are free, but they don't know what they expect.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of solidarity on the German courts with the people who are in this legal procedures. So maybe also now the questions of the audience, if somebody wants to ask something. Christina? Okay, yeah, you can ask by yourself. Okay, I got one question on my message from somebody from the audience, but I thought that, okay, so I will read that question. Has anyone filed a lawsuit against the German state to stop arms transfers to Israel, like activists have done in UK, and in light of the case against Germany at ICJ? So have been any lawsuits against the German state? Do you know?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sorry, maybe I was reading too fast. Has anyone filed a lawsuit against the lawsuit? Has anyone? I filed. Sorry, my English is fucked up. Sorry. Has anyone filed a lawsuit against the German state to stop arms transfers to Israel, like activists in UK?
Yeah, there were some lawsuits filed against Germany, but they were on a stage in between, because, you know, when you do a file a complaint in Germany by court, you come to a lower court, and then you come to a higher court, and in the end you come to the constitutional court. But several families filed complaints for their families in Gaza. And filed because of the arms. They filed the German government because we can be sure that most of those who were killed in Gaza were killed through German arms. But it's all in the making. It's no decision yet. Some were refused. It's a very difficult thing, but there are some court cases.
Okay. Questions?
Doris, it's me. So I wanted to ask you something. Considering that the definition IHRA goes back to 2016, right? How much do you think this definition influenced and is also a reason for the repression in Germany?
Well, you might know, Nada, that nobody was so much behind the IHRA working definition of anti-Semitism than Germany and Israel together. They worked together on this issue, so it was all on them. And Germany only adopted the definition itself. You know, there are these illustrating points. Germany did not adopt these, but Germany said, we adopt the IHRA different definition, these 65 words or what it is, but we consider Israel to be a collective Jewish entity. So the conflation between Israel and all Jews around the world and Judaism is also in that. And this IHRA working definition, it's implemented everywhere. It's why we are haunted. Everything is, I mean, we cannot breathe. When we breathe, it's anti-Semitic. When you don't breathe, it's anti-Semitic. Everything is anti-Semitic in this country at the moment. If you do not agree with what Israel says, and in that case, what our country, what our leaders, political leaders say. So the working definition, which was very, I mean, the way it is, is something Germany really was fighting for in 2016. It was very much, and Germany fought at that time that everything, the whole definition would be adopted, but that did not work. No, the definition is something that we should, as soon as possible, it should be it's not a definition. I mean, they say working definition. Every person knows a working definition is something like a draft. So will they do something, will they bring the draft to an end or what? That it is the definition, not a working definition.
Thank you. Nada says thank you. So any other questions?
If there's no question anymore, I would.
Yeah,
It is.
Okay.
Just one regarding coming elections. I just want to ask you about your opinion. Could there be some surprises, I mean positive ones, regarding the theme we talk about, and what is your expectation?
Well, it's, I mean, the Christian Democrats, they will win. The Social Democrats and the Green are almost on the same level. The Alternative for Germany, which is right-wing, even right extreme, they will have they will be the second strongest party, and all these parties, I mean, I would say all our parties are right-wing parties. We don't have any non-right-wing parties at the moment. That's the point. I mean, the issue to this part, the main subject to this election was the what they call irregular migration. And the way they were talking about the others, which is everybody who is not German, or about the others. If you don't know who speaks, if you only read what somebody is saying, you will sometimes not find a difference between that what is said by someone from AfD and from someone who is coming from Christian Democrats. They are very close on that issue, and so this time the Christian Democrats will win, and then we will see what happened. Then we will see what kind of coalition they are able to do. At the moment, it looks like there will be a Christian Democrat, Social Democratic coalition. The Christian Democrats will not get a majority that they can rule by their own. They have to do a coalition. But to be honest, this country is on a shift to the right wing, to the right side, in the worst way I ever experienced.
Okay. Yeah, another question.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this event. It's really important to talk about this. Especially now when the situation is getting really worse. I spent also some time in Germany after 7th of October, so I can just confirm that this experience is really wildly felt all across Germany, also in other cities outside of Berlin. My question, maybe first one comment and then one short question. My comment refers to the fact when we were talking about the things that are prohibited to say at the protests and the prohibition of the word genocide. I think it's very important also to know the argumentation behind this that the German authorities were giving. So the concerned citizen that wrote to the administration asking why this word was prohibited received an answer that saying stop the genocide in the context of Gaza is actually could be seen as incitement to hatred. So I think this argumentation is really, really insane, and it's important to know how far this argumentation went and was actually deemed plausible at the time. But my question now would be regarding your last comment, so the fact that everything is turning towards the right. My question is, what about the anti-fascist movement that we are now seeing that is directed towards the AfD? Can we talk about the fact that there is a new term now being formulated in this regard? It's called Progressive Accept Palestine. So people who are really progressive in their values, standing against fascism but excluding a particular group. So do you think that a movement can actually be called anti-fascist when they are willing to accept certain fascist tendencies towards a marginalized group?
Well, people who exclude, if you are an anti-fascist, you cannot exclude a group. So you should stop calling yourself an anti-fascist if you say anti-fascist except when it comes to this or that. If you're anti-fascist, you're anti-fascist, full stop. And I'm very, very positive. I'm very optimistic on this way because everything changed through 7th of October. And it hurts to say that we needed a genocide. And let it be plausible or whatsoever. It's a genocide. And we all know that. And German government knows it as well. And everything changed. And it hurts that we needed this genocide to wake up at a certain point. But I can say that the movement that younger people really understand, maybe not in this election, and some of them may not even be allowed to vote because you need a certain age here in Germany. You have to be 18. I mean, maybe it's the same in Slovenia. But I'm very optimistic that the very younger people who now see the repressions they experience, they will be the new movement. And what Ramzi says, we are growing in a way. The Palestinian movement, the pro-Palestinian movement, is growing in a way which I never expected. And the Amnesty International changed their minds when it comes. They are now talking about genocide. They were first afraid of saying it the way you described it. Now they explained it. They translated the paper from UK. They were not afraid anymore. I mean, there's a change. People understand that something goes wrong with the government, not with the people. So I'm in a way optimistic on the one side, but yes, of course, we have a strong right-wing fascist movement, of course. I mean, part of and of course, I say of course, no, not of course, it's not of course, it's horrible. But there are parts in the AfD who are really fascists, and some of them have even, this is considered even by court, and still, they are in the federal state of Thüringen, for example. This Höcke, he's a real fascist, and he is very proud of that and doesn't care. And of course, we are. I mean, what do we teach to the people? I mean, we have close relationship to a government that has people in its government that they are very proud fascist homophobe. The Smotrich guy. I mean, if it's not an Israeli, we would say we do not talk to him. But because it's an Israeli Jew, we think it's something different. No, fascism is fascism. It doesn't have any religion. We don't need any religion to be fascist. So, but maybe it's poor despair that I see everything optimistic when I see these young people being against fascism, being against colonization, being against oppression, fighting for equality. Many of them with migrant backgrounds, but also with bio-German people. We are not the majority, but I'm optimistic.
Thank you.
But it will not come today. We need patience.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one more question or not? Not. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe we're a little bit over our time limit. Yeah, so it's fine that we finish now. I think. Thank you very much, Doris. I also wish you all the best with your struggle. You know, just to keep on doing what you are doing. I would also like to expose that, you know, when I was there, you know, with this Palestinian movement, you know, I felt very good because people are really fighting for something. There is a lot of organizations, groups, you know, so I think this is amazing job that you are doing. So I just want to send your support, you know. So
I thank you that you invited me and Ramzi, and yeah, let's keep going. It's we will win. Don't worry.
yes, we will win. We will win. And
yeah, I'm sure.
This is the final thought. Yeah, anti-fascism always wins. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a good time, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.
Goodbye.